Hi, hello everyone. I am Pushkar. I have been associated with GeekyAnts for almost 5 years now. Before I start, how many Flutter developers we have here? Okay, a lot of them. So I expect that almost all of you would know what Flutter is. For someone who have just no idea what Flutter is, so basically Flutter is everything what React Native does. It's a cross-platform framework to build beautiful UIs, but across multiple platforms like iOS, Android, web, Windows, macOS. Since Flutter 2.0 launch, there has been a lot going in Flutter ecosystem, and a lot of updates has come, and all of these platforms are now under stable support. So since Flutter 2.0, the ecosystem has grown so much that now every day more than 1000 mobile apps are being published to App Store and Play Store. Other than that, a community is using web and desktop separately. Not just that, even on pub.dev, we now have more than 25,000 packages. So pub.dev, for people who don't know, it's basically what npm is for JS. uh, then in like around 2 months back, at Google I/O, Flutter team announced Flutter 3. And since then, we have more than 5,600 pull requests that has been merged. And as a result of it, there has been updates for Flutter 3.3. And this includes basically all the refinements and performance improvement which was uh, launched in by Flutter 3. So these updates basically includes across frameworks, packages, dev tools, extensions, and a lot of API improvement. And the changelog, when I was going through the changelog, there were so many changelogs that I cannot just compile down everything within say 10 minutes talk. So what I have done is I have just compiled some very important key points. So the first one is the global selection event. So people who have been working with Flutter Wave, they know the pain of even like basic say default behavior what you would have in JS frameworks. So something like as simple as selecting an element was not possible earlier. So now they have introduced something called as selectable area. So you can just wrap it on top of the scaffold, and then that becomes selectable by default. Now from Flutter 3, lot of material design 3 components were being imported, and the same has continued even in Flutter 3.3. Now updates to Go Router. So once Flutter went into stable for web, desktop, Windows, one of the instant issues that developers were facing was we did not had any universal navigation libraries, and then they came up with navigation 2.0, which was like instantly rejected by the community because of the complexity that it had. So Flutter team came up with Go Router. It provides universal declarative APIs for universal navigation across all the platforms. So there has been further updates on Go Router as well. Now, the another very important update is the raster cache improvements. Now, what is this means basically is, so earlier, suppose if you have an asset image, there would be like multiple copies of that across, say, native heap memory, and through the native heap memory, through the method channel, they would again copy that onto the Dart side. And as a result, there will be like multiple copies of the same asset images. So now they have come up with a new API where they can directly buffer it from the asset and can load it at the Dart side. So overall, the performance has improved a lot. And the major improvement, and which everyone is talking about, is basically the Impeller new graphic engine. So in the latest version, Flutter 3.3, especially in the master branch, what they have come up is they have a significant rewrite of this existing rendering engine Skia, and they have replaced it with Impeller. Now the question is, why is there a need of an impeller? So they took that decision around an year back. So I think all Flutter developers, they're aware about a weird iOS jank issues, right? So for the first time, essentially what happens is, say for the first time when you are loading the app, you will see a slight jank in the frame. And the reason for that was that the existing rendering engine Skia was not compatible with new hardwares that are coming through, such as a new graphic APIs such as Metal on iOS and Vulkan on Android. And also the current skier rendering engine, it requires say shady compilation. So what shady compilation means is that suppose at runtime there are like set of instructions that needs to be executed onto the graphical processing unit, and and we need to tell them that look, we are going to do certain type of animation, so you need to be prepared for that. So that shady compilation needs to be done once every life cycle of the application, and these shady compilations would take almost like 100 milliseconds. And for us to achieve, say, silky smooth animation that needs to render or get completed within like 16 ms, right, or 60 fps as we say. So the difference between like the 100 ms that a shady compilation takes in order to get executed on the graphical processing unit, and the 16 ms, there would be like a lot of frames that get missed. So the first time you will see that jank animation, and it is very frequent even in very famous applications, even till now. So what they have done is they have come up with this application, and they're asking developers to come up with the feedback of how the Impeller, the new graphic engine, is working out. With Flutter 3.3 also came Dart 2.18. There has been too many changes, lot of updates that has come in Dart as well. I have just compiled some very like normal and uh, some very important ones. So the first is enhance interoperability. Now, last year in March 2021, they came up with this interop for C, and then internally we experimented with that, and now they're extending that same support to Swift and Objective C as well. Other than that, now we have improved type inference. So we already have a type inference in Dart, but there are like a lot of generic functions within Dart. So what they are doing is now they are moving those and giving that support for type inference to different generic functions as well. Then pub.dev improvement. Now, if you are an open source contributor and you have your own libraries, then you can go ahead and can basically ask for support and funding if you adhere to certain license criteria. Then null safety updates. Now, since null safety was introduced, like lot of packages are now moving towards sound null safety, and this has been what the progress we have. Within GeekyAnts, we have been working with Flutter since its inception when it was in beta. So we started experiment with it, and there are a lot of open source contributions that we have done. So you can check that out on the GeekyAnts GitHub page. However, even the pub.dev, if you search geekyants.com, you'll find a lot of libraries that we have created, and all of them are very, say, high quality. At least we have like more than 100 pub points for all of this. Some of them are very famous as well. For example, Flick Video Player that came out as a part of an experimentation, and please check those as well. Other than that, we can get started with our talks for today. Thank you.